In 2025, millions of dedicated Duolingo users are doing something unthinkable. They're deleting an app they've used daily for years, abandoning streaks worth thousands of days. TikTok videos with over 5 million views show users ending massive streaks. One viral video shows a user hitting delete after years of daily commitment. The language learning app that once promised to democratize education has become something its own users are calling evil and ethically dogshit. Comments flood every Duolingo social media post with furious users demanding answers. What could make millions of people abandon years of daily habit? The company's CEO sent an email that wrecked everything. He announced that Duolingo would replace human educators with artificial intelligence. The real-life people who created language courses would be fired and replaced with machines. This is the story of how the world's most popular education app transformed from a noble mission into an addiction-fueled profit machine, how behavioral exploitation became more important than actual learning, and why experts are now calling Duolingo more harmful than helpful. If you're ready to see how your favorite green owl became your digital dealer, smash that like button and subscribe for more shocking tech exposés. So, to understand this betrayal, we need to meet the man who built Duolingo's empire of behavioral control. Luis van Ahn didn't set out to create an addiction machine. He started as an idealistic computer science professor who wanted to democratize education for the poor. Born in Guatemala City in 1978, van Ahn witnessed firsthand how expensive English lessons kept poor people trapped in poverty. When he applied to colleges in the United States, he had to spend over $1,200 just to fly to neighboring El Salvador to take the TOEFL test. This experience left him with a burning mission. In 2011, he founded Duolingo with his PhD student Severin Hacker, promising free language education for everyone, regardless of wealth. But van Ahn wasn't just any professor. He was already a tech genius who had invented CAPTCHA and sold reCAPTCHA to Google, making him wealthy by age 24. He understood both human psychology and how to monetize it. As a Carnegie Mellon computer science professor, van Ahn had studied gamification techniques and human behavior patterns. He knew exactly how to make technology irresistible. Despite being awarded the prestigious MacArthur Fellowship for his contributions to technology, van Ahn chose to weaponize his knowledge of human psychology. The idealistic mission became secondary to creating digital dependency. The transformation paid off spectacularly. Van Ahn is now a billionaire, with his stake in Duolingo valued at over $1.2 billion, proving just how profitable digital addiction can be. The idealistic professor who wanted to help the poor had become a multi-millionaire by treating his users like lab rats in a psychological experiment, and his most powerful weapon was about to be unleashed. Van Ahn's secret weapon was hiding in plain sight: your daily streak. He turned it into a digital drug dealer's dream. Every time you complete a lesson, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, the exact same chemical that makes cocaine so addictive. Duolingo literally hijacked the reward system in your brain. Where it gets even more diabolical is they weaponize something called loss aversion, the psychological quirk that makes losing your wallet feel twice as bad as finding $20 feels good. Your streak becomes digital treasure you'll do anything to protect. And they're constantly experimenting on you to perfect the formula. Those cute new animations that pop up on milestone days, they boosted new user addiction rates by 1.7%. Duolingo is running a massive psychology lab, and you're the test subject. The results are mind-blowing. Over 10 million people now have streaks longer than a year. Some poor souls have been chained to this app for over 4,000 days straight. That's 11 years without missing a single day. Even the helpful streak freeze feature is a scam. It tricks you into spending real money on digital gems to protect your precious numbers. Your fear becomes their profit. Here's the really sneaky part. Going from day 2 to day 3 feels huge. That's a 50% increase. But day 1000 to 1001 barely registers. To combat this, Duolingo engineered different psychological rewards for different stages to keep you hooked at every level. Users describe feeling genuine panic about breaking their streaks. One person admitted to spending 2 hours daily while knowing I was not really learning anything. Another called themselves addicted but felt powerless to stop. Duolingo's team openly brags about this manipulation. They employ designers, animators, and engineers whose actual job description is making the act of extending your streak feel as satisfying as possible. The psychological dependency runs so deep that many users say quitting feels impossible, even when they realize they're wasting their time. But this app dependency was just the foundation. Von Ahn had much bigger plans for monetizing human weakness. While millions of users thought they were learning languages, Duolingo was actually learning something far more valuable: how to extract maximum profit from human psychology. The numbers tell the real story. Duolingo's revenue exploded from $36 million in 2018 to $748 million in 2024. That's nearly 20 times bigger in just 6 years, proving that addiction pays incredibly well. But the most shocking part is how few people actually pay. As of 2022, only 6.8% of monthly active users actually paid for premium features. This means over 93% of users are the product being sold to advertisers. You're not the customer, you're the merchandise. The subscription trap worked beautifully though. Paid subscribers skyrocketed from under 2 million in 2021 to over 10 million by early 2025, each one paying between $84 and $168 annually to feed their digital dependency. Meanwhile, the user base became a goldmine. Daily active users grew 51% to over 40 million in 2024, while monthly users hit 116.7 million. More addicted users meant more money, and the company knew it. The stock market loved the addiction economy. Duolingo's valuation jumped from $1.5 billion in 2020 to $9.5 billion in 2024, making early investors ridiculously wealthy, while users stayed trapped in the psychological hamster wheel. Even the app's helpful features were designed to drain your wallet. The limited heart system forces you to wait, pay, or watch ads when you make mistakes. They literally monetized failure and frustration. The virtual gems and power-ups generate millions more as users pay real money for digital rewards and streak protection. Every psychological vulnerability became a revenue stream. Von Ahn has personally cashed out over $129 million in Duolingo stock since 2021, profiting handsomely while users remain trapped. The English test alone generated $45.6 million in 2024 by positioning itself as a cheaper alternative to traditional language exams. They even opened a physical restaurant called Duo's Taqueria that made $700,000 in 2023, proving they'll monetize the brand in every way possible. But the real betrayal was still coming. On April 28, 2025, Von Ahn dropped a bombshell that would turn millions of loyal users into his worst enemies. He posted an email to LinkedIn announcing that Duolingo would become AI first. The message was crystal clear. Human contractors who created language courses would be gradually eliminated and replaced with artificial intelligence. The timing was brutal. This came after Duolingo had already fired around 10% of its contract workforce in January 2024, with more pink slips continuing throughout 2025. One former employee described being terminated in the most heartless way possible, finding out he was fired when his remote access was suddenly cut off, just an hour before the official notice. Von Ahn was drunk on the possibilities. Using AI, Duolingo had cranked out nearly 150 new courses in just 1 year, compared to the 12 years it took to develop their first 100 courses. Speed was everything. Quality was optional. He admitted as much, saying the company would rather take occasional small hits on quality than move slowly and miss the moment. Translation: we don't care if the education gets worse, as long as we make money faster. The internet exploded in rage. Users flooded social media with fury, posting videos of themselves deleting the app after maintaining streaks for years. One viral TikTok with millions of views showed someone ending a 1,500-plus day streak while declaring, "That owl is dead to me." The comments were ruthless. "Just dropped a 1-star review, screw Duolingo for doing this," wrote one user. Others simply said, "Duo joins the dark side." Every single Duolingo social media post became a battlefield of angry users demanding answers. Language learning experts piled on, warning that AI-generated content would produce inaccurate, lower-quality lessons that would actually harm people's learning progress. Von Ahn tried damage control, claiming the outrage was just a misunderstanding, while simultaneously confirming that yes, they absolutely would replace humans with machines. By May 2025, the backlash was so severe that Von Ahn was forced to eat crow, admitting, "I did not expect the amount of blowback." The beloved owl mascot had become a corporate villain overnight. But the damage to learning quality had already begun. While millions were glued to their daily lessons, language learning experts were uncovering a dirty secret. Duolingo wasn't even actually teaching people languages. The evidence was everywhere if you looked closely. Users would get trapped repeating the same boring lessons about animals and food for months just to keep their precious streaks alive. Meanwhile, they couldn't order a coffee in their target language after years of dedication. Language educators were brutally honest about the app's limitations. They argued that Duolingo could never achieve true fluency and should only be used as a digital flashcard system. The gamification that made it addictive was actually sabotaging real learning. Real-world application was practically non-existent. After years of daily lessons, users still couldn't hold basic conversations or understand anything beyond textbook phrases. The app taught you to say, "The elephant is purple," but ignored useful vocabulary for travel, business, or actual human interaction. The regression problem was even worse. Users would lose skills they thought they'd mastered because Duolingo's algorithm failed to properly review and reinforce earlier lessons. It was like filling a bucket with holes in the bottom. Then, Duolingo made everything worse with their interface redesign disaster. They removed user control over lesson progression, forcing everyone into a rigid linear path that many found completely ineffective. Longtime users felt like prisoners in their own learning journey. Popular features started disappearing, especially for less common languages. Stories, grammar explanations, and useful tools were eliminated, turning the educational experience into a hollow shell of its former self. Korean learners got hit especially hard. Multiple users reported losing 40% of their fluency after the interface changes completely disrupted their learning patterns. Years of progress vanished overnight. Frustrated users began desperately searching for alternatives. Babbel, Rosetta Stone, actual classroom instruction, anything that would give them real language skills instead of digital participation trophies. The cruel irony became impossible to ignore. People spending 1 to 2 hours daily on Duolingo realized they weren't gaining practical language skills despite their massive time investment. They'd been running on a treadmill that goes nowhere. Academic experts delivered the final blow, pointing out that Duolingo's obsession with engagement metrics had completely overwhelmed any focus on actual educational outcomes. Yet somehow, this learning failure was exactly what Duolingo's business model required. The most twisted revelation of all is that Duolingo makes more money when users fail to learn languages effectively. Think about it. If people actually became fluent and graduated from the app, Duolingo would lose customers. The business model depends on keeping you trapped in an endless cycle of fake progress and digital rewards. Successful language learning is bad for business. Failed learning keeps users glued to the app longer, watching more ads and paying for premium subscriptions to chase that elusive fluency carrot dangling forever out of reach. Duolingo constantly experiments on millions of users, but they're not testing educational effectiveness. They're optimizing for engagement, corporate speak for dependency. Every change is designed to keep you scrolling, not learning. The data harvesting operation is massive too. Duolingo collects behavioral information on every tap, pause, and mistake you make, building psychological profiles to perfect their control techniques. Not only are you failing to learn a language, you're also teaching them how to exploit human weakness. The competitive elements make it even more sinister. Weekly leagues and friend challenges create social pressure to continue using the app regardless of whether you're actually learning anything useful. Your addiction becomes a team sport. Push notifications have been weaponized into guilt trips. Messages like, "These notifications seem to be broken, we'll stop sending them for now," are carefully crafted to manipulate you into returning. Even their silence is a manipulation tactic. Family plans multiply the revenue while creating household addiction cycles. Parents pay premium prices while their children develop screen dependencies disguised as education. You'll find the premium tiers are elaborate scams too. Duolingo Max promises better learning through AI chatbots, but users get mediocre conversation practice that wouldn't fool a tourist. Video call features are marketing gimmicks designed to justify higher prices, not educational improvements. Even features like streak freezes and virtual currency exist solely to prevent users from escaping, not to enhance learning. Every element of the app prioritizes retention over education. The dependency economy was working perfectly, until millions of users finally woke up to the scam. Duolingo's transformation from an idealistic education platform into a multi-billion-dollar psychological manipulation machine reveals everything wrong with how Silicon Valley operates. Noble missions get corrupted when addiction and profits become more important than actual learning. But something beautiful is happening. Millions of users worldwide are recognizing they've been trapped in a digital hamster wheel, choosing to break free despite losing years-long streaks. They're discovering that real language learning requires human interaction, cultural immersion, and genuine educational content, not gamified addiction loops. The user revolt of 2025 represents a broader awakening. People are finally seeing through the tech industry's lies about making the world better while actually making it more addictive and exploitative. Von On's billion-dollar empire was built on human weakness, but human strength is fighting back. Every deleted app, every broken streak, every user choosing authentic learning over digital manipulation is a victory against the addiction economy. If this investigation into Duolingo's dark transformation opened your eyes to how tech companies manipulate your psychology, hit that like button and subscribe for more shocking exposés of Silicon Valley's biggest lies. Want to watch another fascinating story about business? This next investigation will blow your mind.